This is a Samsung fridge, very popular in South Africa. Okay, there's no handles on now, they just clip off. But all these Samsungs, the same thing tend to go wrong with all of them. And I'm not allowed to say it's a factory fault. But if the same thing goes wrong on all of them, I feel that by slight design change or different material in the manufacture will solve this problem. A lot of people disagree with me, but what happens to these fridges? Let me just open the freezer. It's got a slide, and right in the back is an evaporator coil with a fan motor, and it's got its own evaporator coil inside. I've dismantled everything now, it's in pieces, but there's the little evaporator coil, and it's got this cover that covers the coil. It's got a fan motor in it. There's a heating element here, which is a solid rod element that actually gets quite hot. On the previous models they had an aluminium heater that clipped onto the coil, but now they've gone to this element. I don't know why. Maybe they thought this element would cure the problem that these things have, but it didn't. What happens is this top condenser has got, this is the drain for it, and there's a little drain trough where this fits into, and there's a tube that leads the water outside to the outside of the fridge. That tube runs in between the inner and the outer wall, and the insulation that's used on these cabinets soaks up moisture, especially in the section where the drain is, where the actual plastic from the drain, the little scoop there, is made on the body, and the drain pipe where it meets up to the drain, there's a short little piece in between where the insulation is visible. So when it defrosts, the water runs into the drain and runs over this little piece of insulation before it gets to the drain pipe, and it soaks the water up, and the insulation gets wet. The wall gets saturated with water, and it makes an ice block that stops the water from running out. Now, I've seen lots of people do lots of weird things to try and solve this problem, myself included. I thought that I should put a heating element down the drain, and it wasn't successful. So what I do to these things now, and whatever I do now, is only temporary. It's not going to fix it forever. I'll show you behind the fridge what I do. I've made a hole in the back of the fridge, and I stuck this tube through. It's quite flexible. This tube comes out right in the drain, and I use this tube to drain the water into the drain pan underneath. So the existing tube actually runs in the wall of the fridge. So all the wet insulation, you can actually see the droplets of water still running out here. When I made this hole, a whole lot of water gushed out. So this wall of this fridge is saturated in water, and it runs down past the deep freeze section, which is below zero, and that saturated wall forms a block of ice. The freezer one is still open. It's a very short little pipe, which I've copied here now. There's a short piece. This black pipe, there's only about 2.5 inches of it before it reaches the drain. So hopefully, if we defrost out here, the water will run straight out and not down the drain pipe and blocks, because of the wet insulation that forms a block of ice. In the drain on the inside, I haven't done it yet, but there's the black pipe coming out. You can actually see these scorch marks on the drain trough where the drain, this aluminium drain, got so hot. But what I'll do with this drain pipe, I'll pull it in a bit deeper down the hole until it's almost flush, and then with silicone glue, I've actually got a very good quality silicone glue, I will make it waterproof, so the water is forced to run down that pipe. And by doing this, we just buy a little bit of time and when it defrosts, the water can go out and not block up and form blocks of ice inside here. And that's the way I fix these Samsung fridges now. But before I do the repair, I tell the customer that whatever I do is only temporary. There's the little drain hole. Once I've put the silicone on, I'll just give it some time to cure before I put this whole lot together. But there's the opening. The existing hole where the old drain pipe was, I just put a little piece of styrofoam down there and put silicone over it. But this is the new drain. And then behind the fridge, I've made a little aluminium saddle which I'll put on with 2 self-tappings. I'll make another one further lower as well, just so that if they pull on the pipe it doesn't come out. I've put all the covers together, so from inside you will not notice that the drain has been modified. And from behind, the drain pipe goes into the back cover. I just cut a little slot there, so the only difference you notice will be from behind.